it. A new week, a new project. Um, Originally the plan was I was going to start on a little project on my husband's uh, character, but he's still kind of undecided about what he wants. And also he's discovered plugs, so he's been like dropping new ones in here and there. So I've decided that it would be probably a better idea to just work on one of my alt's homes. I typically don't really use them for anything other than housing stuff or storage for either decor or whatever. But since I finished the subway slash miniature golf course on my main, and I currently don't really have anything else going on, I figured it would be a good idea to just try something different, kind of an in-between, because eventually I know I'll be changing my main's plot theme, but for the time being I want to leave it be so that folks that want to come and take a look are free to do so. And since I only just opened it up to the public last week, I figure I'll give them a little while. So as you can see, we pretty much have an absolutely clean slate here. I did go ahead and give her the hatch house because my plan is to pretty much just make everything from scratch. I don't tend to use the fab kits or anything. I know a lot of people find really crafty ways of blending those kind of elements into their plot, but I just thought I'd give it a try to do everything from scratch. In fact, most of the little details, because I think the idea is I'm going to build her a little house, and I want to, as much as I can, make everything customized. So it's going to be a small place. I'm not going to build a full plot kind of thing. I don't even know if I'm actually going to use the hatch house. I just have it because that's the best option to give you pretty much clear everything else. So I don't know if I'm going to really incorporate that in or just hide it in some manner. But I don't think I'm going to use the full plot. I'm going to probably block off most of it in some way. But the way I usually start these kind of things, especially like from past work that I've done, like with the entangled hollow, the tower that I built. I didn't build it up in the air. I initially built it down on the ground and then I lifted it up. So I don't know where I'm really going to put the place, but I'd kind of like to get just a general layout. And this is something I've used myself in the past, but a fellow housing fanatic, excuse me, he asked for some advice on how to go about laying out his house because he wasn't sure, like with sizes or room placement and stuff like that. And I suggested, I say, well, the way I would do it, and the way I've done it in the past, is I've taken 2x4s and just laid out the pattern of the house. Excuse me. I think I swallowed some lint. And that way you can kind of play around with the shape of the home, where you want to put your doors or stairs or windows or anything like that. It's kind of like drawing a blueprint, but in the game world. Now I know a lot of builders that actually go through the trouble of making sketches of their homes, of the plans of their home, and labeling, okay, this room is that room and this one is used for this. And sometimes I do that. Sometimes, usually for me, it's more like I just jot down notes for like the concept. Like if I'm like with the miniature golf park, I started thinking, okay, I'll probably want some place for food. I'm gonna want a ticket booth kind of set up. I'm gonna have the the holes, of course. Then I need to decide, okay, how many holes, what kind of themes they're going to have. And I know I wanted to use the bunker house, so I had to figure out what I was going to use for that. So for me, it's more like a lot of jotting down notes, ideas, and if I can think of specific decor that I think might could work for those particular ideas, then I also jot that down. But I know that there are many builders that actually draw up little plans of how they want the layout of their home or their guild hall or whatever it might be. So we're going to kind of do that, but we're going to do it more on the fly and in the game world itself. So what I'm going to use is I'm just going to use the wooden 2x4s. I've already bought a few because I knew I was going to have that. And since I have a tendency to lose things on the floor here, I'm going to actually use a floor. And I'm just going to enlarge that up. And I'm going to use that as kind of like my palette. Then I'm going to paint this this plan on. Again, I have no idea about size really. It's just let's see. Let me orient it a little differently. Just I don't like odd angles like that, so there we go. So anyway, the main thing is you want to make sure your doorways are wide enough to allow that there's no collision issues as far as getting through the doorway. So I figured the 2x4, just as it is when it comes into the world, it's probably right about the right size. And I'm going to test that by putting down a few more. And then we're just going to, just for the sake of testing, we're going to put in like a doorway here. I'm not checking angles or anything. This is wrong thing. This is just, you know, me to get an idea of scale and size of things. So if I use the 2x4 as my general rule of the width of a doorway that my character might want to use, then I should get away with using that. And then what I will do is kind of use that as my my guide for sizing the rooms. So like, for instance, say this is going to be my entrance. If I want it like to have like double doors or something, then I would use two 2x4 side by side, and that would represent my 2 double door area. And that way, anytime I use this piece, it'll be equivalent. So if I want a wall that's essentially 3 doors wide, then I use 3 panels just to kind of outline it. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody that's watching this, but this is how I'm going to plan it out, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm not going to do any. I don't want to destroy and degrade. I'm not going to do any 3-dimensional. I mean, you know, vertical kind of building at the moment. I just want to draw out the plan of the house. What we'll do is, well, let's just start. Things. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to line this up nice. I'm going to want everything nice and square. And for my little house, just lay out a bunch of these here if you can, so I don't have to keep opening this window every 5 seconds. Okay, so I'm gonna copy. Now I want mine to have a double door, so I'm gonna fit that right next to each other. And I know it probably seems like pointless to make 2 pieces when you could use one, but one of the things I'm wanting to pay attention to is like the size of the boards. I want them to be uniform. So I picked the smallest, what I would assume to be the smallest at this point, bit, and use that as my size guide. So all of my boards will be the same width and length and everything. Kind of like using the Exile floor where all the boards are uniform, but if you shrink it down, then some of them are like really tiny. I'm going to work to avoid that. I don't know if it's really going to be possible the way I'm planning it out, but we'll see. Anyway, so let me copy this. And as we get into this, I'll start better differentiating between what's a doorway and what's a wall and what's a window, kind of thing. So it's going to look like I'm just putting down a lot of boards with no rhyme or reason, but it'll come. And again, I'm not getting like super specific about, you know, alignment here. As long as I have a pretty general idea, that's the main thing. Now, to mark where doorway is, I'm going to rotate this differently than the other two. Hopefully to better indicate where a door is. Now, you're only going to be able to see it from above, easier. But that'll be the door. And again, it's a double door, so. Aside from the tower and a little bit of, I guess, technically the structure of the miniature golf park, this will probably be my first full-fledged, kind of a from top to bottom build. I think that the only other closest thing I've had is the gazebo that I made for Guildmate. And I kind of did that the same way when I originally was like deciding on the design of it, the shape and everything. I built it on the floor, and then I made the roof of it, and then I lifted it up. Because trying to build, like if I wanted to, I started putting in walls right away and then added the roof and everything, I would be constantly, you know, angles, and I have to climb on stairs and stuff a lot. And I'll probably do that with this anyway, but I just kind of want to get a better feel for this before I start fiddling around with that. I want a better idea of the shape of it first. That's why I'm drawing this little plan out. I think too it might help keep the scale good, I guess. Because I noticed a lot of players, especially when they're wanting to do like a full plot kind of a build, they just start by adding in the walls and then the floors, and then they start divvying up the rooms, and then by the time they're done, it's like they've got these huge rooms with lots of space to fill, and then when they start adding in the details, either they blow up the furniture and the pictures and the cabinets and everything super huge just to fill up the space, and then it makes it feel like you're in a giant house. Or they keep everything to the right scale to their character, then it makes the room feel very empty. And I've come across many players that they've had to rebuild to rethink how they're going to plan that out. And I want to try and avoid falling into that little trap or whatever, because I wanted to be this one for her. I'm going to have it, just a nice little cozy place. Not going to be big and grand, no castles or funny things like that. It's going to be a little home for my alt. But we're going to see if we can make it something special. Let's see. Now this I'm overlapping a bit because if I push it this way, then this is actually longer than that one, or it feels that way. So I'm just going to leave it overlapped. We'll work out how that looks later. But to me, it feels wrong to not overlap it. Okay, let's see. And I gotta say, I've been enjoying taking a peek on the Dominion side. I have noticed that there's considerably less, or it seems so, less homes there to gawk at. But the ones that I have managed to come across have been really inspiring. And I've enjoyed that on the forums, we've had some individuals take up the call to like showcase those that are on Entity, which I don't have access to at all. And of course, I've been getting a lot of special requests for people to come or for me to come and have a look at their place, because they're wanting to, know if their home can, be on there. And I don't know, I find it fun that, folks are still keeping in like touch with that kind of stuff, that they're interested in seeing others' homes and they want theirs being showcased and stuff. Let's see. Probably going to take a lot of wood. And I hope this idea goes well, because I really I have no clue how to go about it if I can't use this as like I want it as a guide. With something this like architecturally, you want it to be square and everything, I feel like I need a guide. So that's what we're going to use. Yeah, my husband, he's like, well, I think I want something spooky, but then he doesn't know exactly what. Which, come to think of it, I probably will. Last year I did something for a holiday, but it was for the more of a winter theme. And I thought, even though more than likely, especially if we have the Shades Eve event this year, and presumably some uh, Halloweenish appropriate haunted house kind of decor that are going to be coming out of that. Um, I think it might be fun to do some kind of a theme along those lines. Up until this point, I've kind of steered clear of it because I've seen so many done, but I don't know, maybe I'll give it a try to make something myself. What exactly, I have no idea, but we'll see. And again, I'm not sure how I'm going to incorporate this. I have kind of an idea of what I want the house itself to be represented as, and like some of the landscaping that I'm going to do for it. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to work. We'll just have to see. Easier if I copy from there and just drag it back. It's not a very complex layout. It's kind of mirrored from front to back, this being the front of it. Make sure I'm doing this how I think it needs to be done. Look in there. Let's see. I think it's going to run off the edge here, maybe. Counting how many pieces I want. I think I'm out of wood already. Okay. Do the 4s. Oops. Wow. One good thing, though, they did lift the level restrictions on decor. I've been happily, well, I sent a bunch of stuff to my husband, and then sent a few things to the alt that has this pot, and they were able to learn it all because even though it's still red on the item description or whatever, you can still right-click it and go straight to your crate, which is really nice. That gives a lot more flexibility. Yeah, it's coming down to the wire over here. Adjust or add an extra panel underneath just to make sure it's situated like I want. Okay. Wrong one, wrong one. There we go. That didn't work. There we go. I'll probably, as I actually start putting this together solidly, I'll probably double check from end to end and side to side as far as the coordinates to make sure they're more precise. But for now, I'm just kind of getting a quick, rough kind of a outline going. There we go. Like that. And use that. Now this is kind of going over the edge here, but this is kind of how it'll be okay. I don't have to have it exactly on the platform here, because this isn't really going to be part of the house. This is just so I can better visibly catch where all of the wood is. In fact, I could just slide this over to accommodate now that there we go. There, everything's on now. Okay. Something like so. Now I'm hoping as I put this more together that it will be it will square off correctly. I'm probably going to be clearly proving that I'm not an architect of any kind. Let's see. Need some more wood out. Happily, some of my guildmates have started submitting their entries for our guild's custom-built decor challenge. It's a monthly thing that we do, and I live streamed some building that I did for my entry, which was a fish. But happily, we've gotten 3 other members so far have submitted their entries, and I'll be doing a live stream, kind of like a little tour, just quick of just the entries, not their homes, just the entries that they did for the challenge. And then in the forums, I'll probably post some screenshots and a video and everything for those that don't watch my stream or whatever. But I like showcasing what my guildmates come up with, because they do some really awesome things with the core. And I guess I'm like a proud mom or something. I just want to show everybody their stuff, what they did, awesome stuff they made. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I think this is, oops. Again, this might be a little off because I'm not really watching the exact spacing there. Because again, while I have a general idea of what I want to build, I'm mostly worried about scaling. You know, I don't want to make the rooms too big. Not only because then it just looks empty, even when I fill it with stuff, or I just feel like I got to cram everything and its brother in there to fill it up. I also am going to aim to put in as much little personal detail as I can into the build, and when with hey Samson, good to have you back. I know our hours don't quite mesh very well for EU and NA, but anyway, the more detail you put into your home, especially if you're customized, you know, customly building all those details, that can really eat into your decor count limits. And since I know I want to add as much of that as I can in here, I want to keep the place kind of small so that I'm free to, you know, kind of go hog wild with it. You know, I'm not going to have like total freedom because, you know, the limits are going to be reached eventually, but if I can keep myself from overshooting it as far as size-wise, then that's a step in the right direction, I think. And I've already lined up at least a few of the homes that I'm hoping to tour on Wednesday. I need some more wood here. So that'll be something. And of course, this week is going to be Exile Side. But I have a guildmate. He's getting ready to do a special grand opening of his plot in a few weeks. So I've okayed it with him that I can showcase it this week and kind of give him a little bit of a promotion. No, Samson, this isn't my husband's plot. This is another one of my alts. Turnip, another vegetable in the family. He's still undecided about what exactly he wants to put on his plot. And as I was mentioning earlier, he was recently discovered plugs. So he's been like putting in a plug, taking it out, putting it in. And every time he finds one, he goes, "Ooh, this is a new one I can put in." And what worries me is if I build something on his plot and then he installs something new or changes it up, it'll kind of like get rid of some of it, because I don't think he understands fully the concept of custom building and how that works and what can affect it. So I told him I'll just leave him be, let him play around with it for a while before I venture any amount of time into it. So I'm just building a house for an alt. I really don't play the alts as far as character-wise. Usually they're just meant for extra storage space for decor that I've collected, or you know, for doing little projects like this. That's what they're mostly here for. Yeah. Well, I was watching him yesterday. He was every time he finds a piece of decor, he goes, "Oh, I found something new," and he's like, gotta put it in his crate immediately, and then he wants to go and take a look and see how it looks on his plot and everything. So he's probably one of the examples I would use as how not to decorate your house, because he's got stuff laying all over the place. It looks like he's having a garage sale of some kind, but he's just having fun. And I really don't want to disturb his experimenting with it, because that's kind of how I started out. I just started playing around with it, and then, you know, maybe he'll, you know, develop a taste for, you know, building himself, because he's done that kind of stuff in other games and done really well at it. So I'm not too quick to disturb him on that. Just let him figure it out on his own. I'm going to see if I can line these up a little better. I'd like that to kind of be a little bit more square. And it looks like somewhere I have misjudged on some spacing a bit. And that may be where this overlap kind of helps, where if I got some spacing a little off, it won't be so bad. But that's kind of how it's supposed to be. General shape of it. Oh, did you go ahead and crate it all? Push the button. Sounds scary. Oh, look at that cracking. Well, congratulations. What theme did you decide on? Moon base. Yeah, with the far side option in the ground, that seems a very plausible and fun idea to make a moon base. I've come across a few, but not a whole terrible lot. Mostly I come across the main big themes is bars and like resorts or kind of like inns, kind of thing like that. The next fave, I guess, is like some kind of, well, it's kind of a combo club bar kind of thing. But they usually have a dance floor or something. I'm just now kind of squaring up positions here, getting everything nice and lined up, sort of. A nice shot of my head there. Just kind of cleaning up the shape a little bit. I'm hoping that that'll iron out some of the misalignments. Don't know if it will, but I'm going to try and hope that that resolves some of it. Have you decided on a name for the plot yet? I know a lot of people look to naming it, and then when they get to it, they're like, I don't know what to call it. Even I had trouble selecting mine. I just put secluded landing, but that I may change that depending on how it looks at the end. Let's just back to what I'm doing here. Research Lab Fin 182. Yeah, that definitely sounds like something you find on a moon base or something. Better than some of the names. You know, a lot of times when you read a name of a house, you have certain expectations, and you know, you kind of are asking for disappointment when you go to a place that says most awesome house on Nexus or something like that. Because I don't know what people think about when they're naming their homes, but some of them can get pretty ridiculous. Yeah, I saw that. I know a few that like to use their name in some way. I could have called it Greenleaf Landing, I guess, but I don't know. I prefer to kind of more try to describe what it is that I've built. Or if it's like a business, give it a business name, but still give it kind of a clue as to what it is, kind of like Proto Pet Park. You get that it's a golf-related thing. You get that it's run by Protostar and that it's a park, you know, for visitors. Okay, let's see. This is going to be the very dully boring part because I'm going to be checking coordinates here because I'm really trying to line this up good now. Like I said, I don't know if this is going to come out square, but fingers crossed that it works okay. Let's see. Already checked that one. 124. This is kind of nice that my plan is a little kind of mirrored in the way, because I think, well, what was that? 526. is I'm able to just kind of copy back and forth. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Now, I will say, typically I do kind of ignore the thicket 50/50 kind of house titles, but since I visit so many pretty regularly, sometimes I'll get desperate and I'll go ahead and visit a few. And I have been surprised from time to time. Um, like sometimes you get these goofy names like, I don't know, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof or Bubble Bath or something, and you think, well, it's kind of a clever name, it gets your attention, and you go there and there's absolutely nothing. But I know there's one, I think it's Bikini Bottom, and it's actually quite a lovely, in fact, I think I showcased it on one of my earlier streams. Um, if it's the right one I'm thinking of, no, I don't think I did stream it, but it's actually a really nice build. It's just the name doesn't quite match what's on the plot, so I don't know what the purpose of the name is. It could be like an inside joke or, something, but yeah, the name is like the first impression, like the book cover. I know they said don't judge a book by its cover, but in a lot of ways, that's how you do it. You don't want to just visit every single name there is. So the name of the plot is the first clue, and then also the name of the person that owns it can often kind of throw you a little bit, especially if their name, if you want to try and revisit it and their name's got like 50 E's in it, it's like you don't want to have to type that out every time. Yeah, yeah. I have come across several, I won't say it happens all that often, but there are a few out there that either have my home or just home or such and such as home, and they have some nice little touches. But I think it's few and far between. And that's part of the reason why I do the lists and the showcases, is because it's such a pain to go through the public visitor tool, because you get the weird, like sometimes you go in the list and almost every one of them is thicket 50/50 or relic or mining or something, and it's like, I know people that helps people that are looking for those kind of plots, but yeah, it's disappointing a lot, and that's why I do what I do, is so other people don't have to go through that pain. I'm willing to. I have enough time on my hands and nothing else better to do, that I just go through and hunt out all those little diamonds in the pile of sand. But the name you're going to give your plot, that definitely would catch my eye. And sometimes too, I get into the trouble with those that like they have a nice name, like I don't know, Serenity or something, but maybe 3 or 4 other people have the same plot name. So you have like 3 or 4 different Serenities, but you don't always see them side by side in the listing. You'll see like Serenity, and it's like Joe Bob owns it, and Serenity, and it's like Mary Lou owns that one. And of the 4 or 5 that there are, maybe only one of them really is nice looking. And but sometimes if I'm going through the list and I see the name, I think I've already visited it being a crappy one, and then I think, well, I don't want to go to that one, and I might miss a really nice one. And it's only by me going, well, I'll give that guy another chance, and find out it's really not the same person. It's just that they happen to have the same name. Because you see a lot of, I've seen several Stargate plot names. Serenity's a favorite. There's a lot of like, oh, I don't know. I can't think of any off the top of my head other than those two. But you know, they have the same name, but they're not built by the same person. Or you'll get like someone like a particular builder, and you'll notice that if you find one that they have a really nice plot, a lot of times if they have alts, their alts names are similar, and you kind of expect, well, probably those will be nice too. And I would say 90% of the time that's true, because that's how I've gotten to know Severion quite a bit. They have like, I don't know, 4 or 5 on Exile side, and they've got some on Dominion side, and all of their plots are usually really nice to look at. And but I've also come across some that their alts, that's like a totally different person built it, and it may actually be a different person, but did I didn't save the change there. But yeah, it's just kind of fun, and I'm sure I've overlooked some really nice places because of those kind of things. But eventually I get to it, because like I said, once especially on a given day, if I keep opening the list and I feel like I'm seeing the same names over and over and over and over again, then I'll like say I'm going to visit the 5th one down every time for a while. And so I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No matter if I've been there before or not, I just go there and just do that for a while. And I've happened on quite a few like that, just ignoring the name, ignoring the person that made it, just going to the 5th one or the 1st one or the the last one, whatever, and just doing it like that for a while. And it's produced some interesting results. That's all I can say. Okay, so I think I got the front and the back lined up pretty good. So now I'm going to try and get the back end. The thing that's, I think, make it a little odd is the little indent I've given the one end. So we'll see if we can line this up a little better. Don't know if we'll just try it this way. Yeah, I think I'm looking at the wrong one. I was looking at the Z still. 592, 592. This one's, excuse me, I got the hiccups again. 395. Let's just person looking. Again, I'm just trying to kind of get this to line up a little better with both sides, even with the indent included. I'm hoping that it works out all right. Okay, so we have the 2 window thing here. 197. The wrong thing, that's right. Yeah, that's another thing. I've come across some somewhat interesting homes, but I noticed that they're still a one name character, and so I don't bother listing them because I assume it's somebody that's either come back to the game and just hasn't logged on to that character to um, incorporate him into the new system that exists now. So I figure, well, if they're not bothered to do that, then I won't bother to list their plot. But I have come across a few like that. Typically, like I said, for me, I don't usually enjoy doing the whole full 0 to whatever the level cap might be, 50 in this instance, for alts, because I don't know, I get kind of cranky if they get a drop that I had preferred to get on my main, and so I feel like, you know, if I just played my main, then they would have everything, if that makes sense. It's like she collects, you know, she's the one I collect all my pets and mounts and stuff on, and if an alt happened to get one that I can't give to her, like if it's the bind on pickup kind of thing, I would be extremely upset with myself that they got the goody stuff and she didn't, and I feel that way in most of my games, so I kind of avoid really playing alts for that reason. But in certain cases, like with extra storage, because my alts, they have their own guild. And so, and my husband, his characters are in the same guild. So when we go questing together, like if I go help him level up and everything, then that influence gives us access to more bank space, which means more storage room for me overall. So in that respect, I don't mind alts. But as far as professions and stuff go, technically we have access to all the professions on our main. It's just at a cost and a cooldown to switch them back and forth. But I really don't do any kind of, even as an architect, I only craft for what I want to use. So it's not like I'm out to make money off of other people by what I craft. So I don't aim to learn all of the other stuff. Even cooking, I have a reason to learn that now with the pet that's available through it, but every time I touch it, it's like, ooh, I don't like it because it's frustrating and annoying. But let's see, what am I hitting here? Okay. But yeah, I'm not much for, I prefer to just stick with the main if I can, because I find that less irritating. Because again, you know, even in WoW, I have lots of alts in WoW just because, you know, maybe I kind of needed a break from my main character's skill set and stuff, or I wanted to try, because in the beginning I wasn't settled on a class. I was still fairly new, you know, many eon ago, as far as getting used to the spells and keybinds and all that kind of stuff, and in the beginning I really didn't do that, so I had trouble finding a class that worked for me on how I played. So like, I think my very first character was like a hunter, and I think I got him up to level 70, and then I deleted it and then started something else. But once I discovered rogue, I just kind of lost interest from most everything else. And while I have other characters, generally those are just mostly for extra storage. And in the beginning, it was mostly for access to the other professions. Nowadays, with the garrisons and stuff, you kind of have access to all the professions as one character. But in the beginning, it wasn't that way. So you kind of felt like you needed to have the alts. And for me, it's more of a chore than a joy to having all of that extra stuff to worry about, because then I have a tendency to get lost as far as if I play a one type of character for a little while, then I go back to another one, I've kind of forgotten how to play it and I have to relearn again, so there's like a learning curve every time. Or you kind of forget their progress, where they're at, because maybe you've been through the zone like half a dozen times, and either it becomes boring or so repetitive, you're like, did I already do this? I think I already did this with this one, but maybe I didn't do it with her, but this one needs it, you know, that kind of thing. I I get confused enough as it is. I don't need to add to that. Okay, so I think I got everything squared up. That's the general outline of the house. I know it doesn't look like much, but you know, it's just supposed to be for one person. It's not going to be like a whole kind of family kind of thing going on. Not a guild house or anything. This is just a simple little one-person home. Nothing super fancy. But anyway, this is going to be. Let's see. Let me check this.